next week. And I thought while we're preparing for launch, I'm going to share with you what we're all going through. I'm going to get a little vulnerable, tell you about what's kind of been going on in the business over the last few months, and just hang in. Who knows what's going to fall out of this mouth today? All right, so as always, let's kick off with our theme song as we wait for our VIPs to come on in, and then we'll be back with a candid conversation and some behind the scenes chat on what we're going to talk about.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Shine. Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine, shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine.
Hello, beautiful humans out there in the big wide world. We are today having a a candid conversation about launching. I thought I would share with you what we do when we launch, what's been going on inside of our community and the business for the last few months, and what we're going to be doing, what our goals, our numbers are, and all the things so that we can hit our goal for, well, this month. So first off, Look, today I'm going to get vulnerable, all right? I really don't have a lot of notes. I've written a couple of dot points down about what I want to cover today, but I'm just going to see what falls out of this mouth of mine, okay? So we're going to talk about launch. We're going to talk about why we haven't launched since March or April. I'm going to talk about why I turned off marketing and the effects of that, and also some mistakes, or I call them mistakes, I'd call them really good lessons that I've learned recently. This year, really, about quite a few different things in my business. And also, there's a reason why things happened that at the time feel like maybe this is not good. You get butterflies in your tummy, you feel sick, you get a little stressed. But then on the other side of that, there always seems to be a reason why we've got to go through these. So I want to share that with you today. And then finally, what are our launch goals? So I want to share some sexy numbers with you. You know that I'm pretty open and honest with everything. So I'm going to share with you exactly what we're going to do, even what we're going to spend, and what goals and numbers we're going for when it comes to launching. So hang on in, because it's going to be a lot of good stuff today, especially if you're a sexy number lover like me. You're going to really enjoy what we talk about. All right. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is, why have we not launched? All right. Take a moment, Sally. I guess this kind of also takes into account turning off marketing and what effect it has had. So if you have known me for any length of time, you know one of my biggest things is everyday be marketing, right? Everyday be marketing. Because if you're not filling your leads from the top, and then what a lot of people will do is they'll go out, you'll hustle, you'll get leads. Yay, you've got new clients. Then you serve those clients, but you stop marketing because you've got clients to serve. And then what happens? You serve them, you fulfill on your promises, and you bless and release them. Or maybe they stay in your community, but not everyone does. And then what happens? Oh my goodness, I haven't been marketing. Uh-oh, here we go again. Hustle, hustle, hustle. Off we go. Got to go out. Got to get more clients. And when we hustle for marketing and then serve, then we've got to hustle and serve and hustle and serve. And honestly, it is just not a sustainable way to run a business. And I know this because I've been doing it for years. Now, the second thing is, if you don't know, I took a little step back from this business model. What happened was, I lost my mum, okay? And what I had found was I didn't have any time off. Like, I was there, wasn't trying not to be there, but I felt like I had really built a monster. I couldn't get out and I couldn't take any time. So I decided to try a totally different business model, and I went across and tried medical recruiting with a friend and helping her in her business, and I realized after a good year, I hate it. To be honest, it was a repetitive thing of the same thing on repeat. Check emails, reply to hospitals, talk to doctors, check more emails, place a doctor, do compliance, talk to the hospital, and then do it on repeat. Literally living in the inbox. Now, this is why I hire and I have Beverly, because she's my executive assistant, so I don't have to read emails. Now, that's not saying I don't read the emails. I pay people to read the emails, and then they give me what I need to know, and then I reply to them and answer them. So it's a pretty big thing because I don't really enjoy it. I'm not the best reader for starters, and I don't enjoy it. And when you start making money, you want to hire yourself out of the stuff you don't like. And checking emails is definitely one of those. Now, in the medical recruiting industry, that's all you do is check emails all day long. There's no avoiding checking emails at all because all of the opportunities come in through emails. You've got to talk to doctors through emails and it's email, email, email all day. So after giving that a crack for a good year, working it full time, investing money, I hated it. I really did. And then I decided to come back into this business model, but I wanted to do it differently this time around. And what I did was I reached out to 2 people who I was already working with, and I said, let's start a business together. Literally, I was driving down the road. I rang them. I said, let's do it. They're like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go buy a business name. And then I came up with a business name, OmniSuite, went and bought it. Then I'm like, okay, let's set up a company. Just Googled how, jumped into ASIC, set up the company, gave everybody shares, which apparently is equity. And that was it. We were off to the races. And in the first 3 months, we did really well. I got to where I wanted. I got to what took me 3 years to get to. I got to in less than 3 months this time because I had a lot of experience behind what it was that I'd done previously because it was super successful, made lots of money, but, I felt like really tied to it. So I brought in a couple of partners. And unfortunately, when you are running a company and you're just really starting out, you don't pay yourself anything. You pay your staff first. And one of the staff members, one of the partners, honestly, I kind of threw it at her without really thinking that she needs the money. She's not in a position to be able to work for free. So I started paying her. I was paying her still as an employee at the start, but really needed the money. So I said, well, the other 2 of us aren't drawing a wage. Let's do that for you. And in hindsight, I should never have done it because she could not afford to be like the owner of a business and go without in the short term to have more in the long term because she needed it right now to pay the bills. So we decided to go our separate ways, and I truly respect her. She's amazing at what she does. Kind of wish that I had never offered her the business partnership and just kept her as an employee because that way she still would have been paid and probably still be with me. Then we got approached by somebody to invest in the company, and I learned something that I didn't know. I didn't understand what equity was. Okay, now I had spoken to a few other business owners, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'd given away my equity." They're like, "What?" And then I started to learn from quite a few business colleagues because, I just Googled it and set it all up myself. They go, no. Many business owners bring in investors, bring in partners, but they do not give away shares in their company, especially if it's your IP, which it definitely is my IP that I've built over the last 10 years. So I learned a lot. When I spoke to my accountant and my lawyer, especially my accountant, he went through me like a ton of bricks. He's like, "What have you done? Never do this again. Make sure you speak to me first. You don't just give away shares. There's other ways that you can bring in partners without giving away your equity." So I learned that equity is actually tied to your IP, and equity holders generally, if the equity holder was to leave the business, generally the business would fall apart because it can't run without them, right? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I need to stop the whole equity thing. So I decided to kind of square things up and sort everything out, and spoke to my partner and made her what I thought was a really awesome offer. She was going to get paid way more than me. And not only that, I was going to pay her for life, for her children and everything. But, I get it. Equity to her was super important, but unfortunately, that's kind of a thing I had to do. I still really care about her, and she decided to go her separate ways. She thought that, I guess she was emotionally tied to the word equity, even though I was offering her a really good, it was a small retainer every month, but like when she closes, I'd worked out, she'd get way more than I would get a year, and then a guarantee that even if she left the company or died, I'd keep paying her kids. So unfortunately, she decided to move on, and that is still a friendship that I hope that once, when we sort all our stuff out, I truly do love and care for her so much. And, unfortunately, it just wasn't the path. So I was still looking at partners, but after all of that, I'm like, do I even want a partner? And we had an investor interested, and after spending some time together, I realized no. It wasn't the right fit. I think there were areas that, our business wasn't at the, multi-million dollar area where this investor could just delegate all the tasks. She still needed to be in operations, and that means knowing how to really be very fluent on the computer. And so mutually, I knew that it wasn't going to happen, and when we finally talked, she knew it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't a good fit for either of us, and it was exactly what I wanted. Now, after starting this business and chasing partners, that's what I've been doing. The reason for that was when Mum passed. Chasing partners, I thought, was going to give me the freedom to take a step back as I grow this, because the biggest thing that I've learned over the years is, my husband's got coffee. Thank you, my love. The biggest thing I've learned over the years is I really struggle with team. It's not that I don't want a team. It's just I'm not a good manager of a team. What I do is I've got the vision, I know the numbers, I've got a very good proven model that is scalable, but it isn't scalable without a team who can fulfill. And honestly, I feel like I've been through 3 divorces this year. It's been so hard. It's been such an emotional turmoil. And this is where I want to get a little vulnerable with you. Sometimes business isn't always exactly what you think it's going to be. But what I've also discovered along the way is this is what I love. I truly, truly love what I do. I love the fact that we get to help people every day. And some of our clients come crying in a good way with how we can help them. And even though I've, been chasing partners, and to be honest, all of these beautiful women, I still admire greatly. They all have amazing skills, but partner doesn't have to be somebody that is an equity holder. A partner can be somebody who is an employee. And I've realized that recently because the reason for going through all of this, the reason for feeling like I've been through 3 divorces in the last 12 months was to get Ash. I think I will cry. I think I might. So I met Ash 8 years ago, and we started in network marketing together, and we got on really, really well, but we worked our asses off together. And then we got to travel the world together. We got up to a little bit of mischief. Yeah, we did. But Ash was in her early 20s. I was in my 30s, late 30s. And I had done quite a lot of things to get to where I am. And she really hadn't been out there in the big world in regards to having a career. Lots of jobs, like all of us when we start out, right? Pouring beers, working in retail, working in a cafe, whatever it is, we all have a job. But she'd never really had a career. Not only that, she wanted to buy a house. And who's going to give you a loan for a house if you're working in a company that's not paying you anything or bugger all? So I get it. Off she went. She went and got a full-time job, and I saw her go from receptionist and worked her way up to property manager in a real estate. She got poached by another company for her portfolio. She lost that job, not because of who she is, just because they bought the portfolio and not her. But within 2 days, she went out and got another job. Within 2 weeks, she was assistant store manager for a large company, Smiggle, right? Then I saw her move to store manager, increase the revenue, increase the team success rate to the point where they started sending her out to other stores to improve teams. And then increase their revenue and increase the productivity of the team and the cohesiveness of the team. Then she went to another company for the same reason. They wanted her for her team skills. So she moved to the largest shopping centre in the Southern Hemisphere, worked for Skechers, but the poor thing had to get down on her hands and knees every day and put shoes on people. I mean, at least in Smiggle, she got to decorate lots of colourful things every day. But this was up and down, doing up shoes and never getting the store manager role, always staying in assistant manager. And she had goals, she had vision, she had dreams. So that was an 8-year gap between when we first started working together to now. Luckily, when the business partner turned down the offer that I made, I now had this revenue that I was about to offer to this business partner got freed up. And because it got freed up, Ash wasn't happy where she was. And I said, "Oh, hi, how you going? Oh, we catch up every so often. Looking for a job?" Thinking, of course, as always, she would say no. And she was like, "Yeah, okay." And then we put a package together. It was it's a good starting package. I know she's worth more because I totally see the value in her. And now I feel like I have my integrator. So if you've ever read Rocket Full, you know that there's the visionary and the integrator. And being an integrator is a little bit of a thankless job at times because you've constantly got to be, cracking the whip, but also got to be good and nice. But sometimes you've got to be not nice as well to make sure that the team works well. And her personality, she thrives in learning how to manage people. It's her zone of genius. It is that when to talk to them nice, when to have fun, and then when to take away fun because some targets didn't get hit. And if, as a business, we can't just have fun all the time. That's probably how I like to roll, right? Whenever I've had to fire people, I would write a script. I would practice. I would talk to my therapist. I'd bring a friend in the room so I would try not to cry. Honestly, I have rose-colored glasses for everything. And that's another thing I found out about myself in the last 12 months is people can take advantage of me because I am very good at trying to just give stuff away. I'm really good at giving things away, and I didn't realize how much people take advantage of that. Because I do. For me, if I can pay people money, I feel like, that's a little bit of the way I show love because I never really had money growing up. I used to eat out of the salvo bin, not like a real bin, but, there was a bin out the front of the salvos that people would put food in the morning. And if you got there early, you could get food to eat. And so I would go there to get food and then I'd go off to some kind of training or I think at the time I was doing how to get a job placement that was sponsored by the government. But Ash is the reason why I've been through 3 divorces this year. But I do need to ensure that I keep business and friendship separate. Also, that's a boundary I need to truly keep. So why have we not launched? Well, the reason why we've not launched is because the previous business partner and I were like, let's get the customer journey once people sign up good. When we started OmniSam, I know how to get leads. I know how to sell, right? That's not my problem. So I decided I ran 2 launches and we brought in, I think it was 1,500 and then maybe another 2,000 on the second launch. We got lots of signups. We had over 100 subscribers to our software in less than 3 months. And really what I wanted to do was bring heaps of people in to break it, because if I wasn't putting people into the system, if I wasn't testing it, then I wouldn't know what to fix. So I knew I had to break it. Well, actually just bring lots of people through it to find out where they get stuck, what their problems are, what my problems are, what areas I need to fix. So then back in April, I think it was March was the last launch. April, we decided let's close intake and just do word of mouth intake for 4 to 8 weeks to clean things up. So first time ever, I have turned off marketing. Yep, not running ads. We went to a few networking events. I did a speaking gig for the Geelong Small Business Festival and a couple of podcasts here and there, but really there was no paid marketing because I didn't want to bring in more people until we'd cleaned up everything. So that was supposed to be sorted by June, and we were going to start running ads again in June. Then I learnt all about the equity thing and decided, hey, let's put it off until July. That then strung out through August, all of July and into August, still not launching. Also realizing it's just me, I had the choice with the investor was stop everything, build a team. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. So I stopped everything because if I started to launch, what would happen is our focus would shift to sales, right? Which is the total wrong area. The whole team would have to focus on sales, closing, and not on team and development and fixing that customer journey. Then once I decided I didn't want a partner and we both mutually agreed it was not, she didn't have the expertise I needed, I didn't have the business model she needed, and we went our separate ways. Now, guess what? We've gone April, May, June, July, August, and we're on the last day of September. That's 6 months, no marketing. I've never done it before. Normally by this time we're launching because we need to get sales through, because December and January there's going to be no sales in our niche. Everyone's on holidays. They're business owners. They're not wanting to invest in new things at the end of the year. As business owners, we want that time off. We want to spend time with our families. So we were trying to squeeze in a launch. And the thing is Ash goes away for a couple of weeks in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, how am I going to fit this in? So our goal was to launch and have the event running on the 6th of October to achieve what I would normally do. So this is our normal routine for a launch. Week 1, tech setup. Week 2, ads are running and we're partying with, it's called pre-party week. We're partying with those people who have registered. Week 3 is launch week. This is when we're teaching, we're loving, we're showing them what value they could get if they decide to come and join us, but also no holes barred, right? When I launch, I share everything. And then week 4, we're focusing in on all the new clients and getting them closed and onboarding. And then we do 5, 6, 7, and 8, sometimes usually 6 to 8 weeks between launch, and we start again. So based on that, the math is ads should have been on the Saturday just gone. So it's now Tuesday and the ads aren't on because I'm still building, and because it's the first build in the new software in OmniSam with this particular challenge, because it's not the Canva Made Easy challenge, okay? That one was just to bring in lots of people because I knew it would. This one is about teaching the one thing, the focus on the one thing that we model and use consistently in our business. And, you know, I always talk about the snowball effect. The snowball effect is in a marketing campaign, it's like when you create a snowball, you've got to create a really strong foundation, or otherwise your marketing campaign will crumble. But when it's a strong foundation, as it starts to roll, it will get bigger and bigger and bigger because you run the same marketing campaign on repeat, and people who don't join in the first, second, third, or fourth could come in the 5th launch. And so it expands and it grows and it grows. And that's why I got to where I was before I took the time off. But this time around, rather than trying to find partners, now I'm paying people better with a team who feel that it is also part of their business. I'm looking for intrapreneurs, not entrepreneurs. People who don't want the risk of spending $20,000 on ads or they don't have the money, but then I can still pay them because they see, well, we've got to do really well or we don't get paid. Right, but they don't have to come with the risk that I'm willing to take on. So turning it off, the snowball effect died. It did. But then I have to build the foundation well for this launch because this will be the launch that we do on repeat. We might change a few words here and there, but it will be the same launch on repeat over and over and over again for the next 12 to 18 months. We'll try different hooks, we'll try different videos, but in essence, the core of what we teach is always the same. So we've got to set goals, and again, this is another time I'm going to get really vulnerable with you, and I'm going to share with you my numbers, okay, what I'm hoping to achieve. And then whether we hit it or don't hit it, we'll definitely learn a heap of stuff, a shit ton of stuff we'll learn over the launch. So just to recap, before we get into the sexy numbers, today was about really just being open and honest with you of what's been happening in this crazy world. I've had a lot of people reaching out, where are you, Sally? We don't see you anymore on social media. Why I haven't been launching, why I turned off marketing, the snowball effect, which has not been happening with not everyday being marketing. Also, some really big lessons I learned was understanding what the hell equity means. I didn't understand. I really didn't. I know that sounds silly, but I didn't really understand. Equity is your IP. Also, you know, team. I think that's the biggest thing. Team, realizing that it is not, even though there's a lot of things I can do, right? I surprise myself sometimes with the answers I have for most problems. But team is definitely not it, right? I can tell people what to do, but the management of checking in, making sure they're doing it, check in. I'm like, I've removed that from my brain that's full of a gazillion things right now, and I don't want to have to ask about it until it's due. Apparently that's not how you manage people. You don't just tell them what to do and then send them on their way. Who knew? Who knew? I knew, but I've been studying Brendan Burchard. I've been studying, oh man, this has happened to me again. He's got the glasses. Simon Sinek. There we go. All these leadership gurus. I've been studying these guys for years, trying to work out how to be a good leader and manage a team. But this is why I have my Ash, my integrator, the person who's going to look after those beautiful humans that I can afford. And I think one of the proudest things when I sit and think about the business, apart from helping the clients, is knowing that I'm putting food on the table for my team. I'm helping them pay their electricity bills, their rent, their food, all the things, because they work for me. And the business is sustainable enough to love those people. So that, I would say, is one of the proudest things that I've been able to do, is being able to give back to these amazing humans that are part of our team. All right, so let's talk sexy numbers, shall we? All right, now, if you've made it this far, you're a lifer, and most people won't hear this, right? Because they'll move on and they would have given up in the first 2 minutes because it's not a reel or a TikTok. Right, I'm not dancing with the funny music for you. But if you're here, you're a lifer and you want to know the details, right? You want me to spill the tea. So let me do that. So here is generally, let me get up let me do it on a whiteboard for you so that you can, let's see if you can see. Come on, come on. All right, let's see if you can see. Is there I'll plug you in. Even though oops, I must have forgot to plug you in last night. Okay, you don't want to see what just happened over here, but the coffee is everywhere. We're going to move the book. We're going to keep continuing on, and you know what? It can't fall any further than all over the bench. Oh, hang on. I'll move the important books and throw them on the floor. The joys of live and spilling coffee. All right. The rest will just have to sit there in the mess. Hang on one second. This is really the joys of live right now, when you spill an entire hot cup of coffee. Okay. Clean the iPad. It smells amazing in here, just saying. If you love coffee. And there's another stain on the carpet. Oh, well. Oh, well. Okay. I got it plugged in now. Let's try this again. Let's see if this thing still works. Okay. So it is capturing. Now we've got to go to video pencil. That is not what we want. All right, Ma, if you're listening to this, I hope you remember to edit all of this mess out. Team, if you can message Ma and make sure she listens to this episode properly to edit it as well, because there's probably a lot that we don't need. Yay, it's working. All right. So let's just do it on this screen. And let's bring up, where is the video pencil scene? Yep, this will do. Alrighty then. Okay, so let's just start with a starting number that we're going to use to run our ads. Now, when we're not running a marketing campaign, I like to just have a really simple $4,000 a month, just, it's about $1,000 a week, just running on ads so that things are filling in between launch. But when we launch, we up that spend. So what I'm looking at is spending about $20,000. Now, with the $20,000, give or take. So at the beginning, I thought, I'll just do 10 because it's an untested hook. But really, if I want to hit my goals, when I ran the math last night, you should see my window in the house. When I ran my math last night to hit my goal of what I want to achieve, I really, really need to be looking at about that 20%. So generally speaking, 20,000 is the spend. Now, the cost per lead, if I can keep it at about $20, but let's say it goes up to $25. All right. So I can kind of see both sides of this. So we've got $20 for cost per lead or $25 cost per lead. So now I'm going to run the math again like I did last night on my window. And I know I could probably just ask ChatGPT, but you know what? I love running sexy math. It's like meditation. So actually, it's math meditation to me. So if we do 20,000 and we divide that by $20 a lead, our leads will be for $20, 1,000 leads. And if we spend 20,000 and it costs us $25 a lead, we're looking at 800 leads. Okay, so that's how many leads that we'll get with those two cost per leads. Now what we need is to get them from a lead into the Facebook community. So when we get them into the Facebook community, generally, industry standards is about 40%. But I've got a few little tricks that I've done over the years that generally gets us 60 to 70% of those people into the Facebook group. It's part of this awesome idea I had years ago that really entices people to join us in the group. So let's base that on our 70%. Actually, let's just be conservative, all right? We always be conservative. When I am doing my math, I overestimate when I'm going to spend something and I underestimate when I'm going to get something. That way I'm always winning. So let's just say, where'd you go? Let's just say 60% of those people make it into the Facebook group. So 60% of 1,000, it's an easy math, I know it is, but just don't do math live, is 600. All right, so we'll end up with, in the group, 600. Or out of 800, not 8,000, 800 times 60% is 480 of those will end up in the group. Now, generally speaking, we're goaling to close 2% of those people. So let's just run the math and say we only get 1.5% or 2%, and I've had it 2.5% before. So let's do the math on that. So we have 600 times 1.5%. That gives us 9 sales. Or 480 times 1.5% gives us 7.2 sales. And if we hit the industry standard of 2%, 600 times 2% is 12 sales, and 480 times 2% is 9.6 sales. And if it's really awesome and we get that stretch goal, 600 times 2.5% gives us 15 sales, and 480 times 2.5% is 12 sales. So these are our numbers based on a 20K ad spend. These are how many sales we should get. Now, our core offer, so this is into our academy, our core offer is $9,000. So that's our core offer. Now, some people may buy a higher package. There's 2 other packages that are higher than that. But this is our core offer that let's just base everything on that. So based on our core offer, our, let's say, 9 sales will be at the lowest of 1.5. 9 times 9,000 is 81,000, or 9,000 times 7.2 at that higher one. Oops. 9,000 times 7.2 sales is 64,800. If we are at the industry standards of 12 sales at 9,000, we're at 108,000. If we hit the 2.5 at the $25 an ad, we're looking at 9,000 times 9.6, so 86,400. Or if we look at that higher stretch goal of 15 times 9,000, we're looking at 135,000, or between 135 and 12. Oh, well, 12's up there, is 108,000. So, based on our $9,000, we're going to earn somewhere between $64,000 as the lower one, up to the highest of 135,000. So, somewhere between there. Now, if you were asked to give somebody $20,000 and they will give you back 64,800, would you say yes? Would you say yes? All right. So generally as a marketer, what we look at now is what is our value per lead. So what do we make for every email that we collect? So let's just base it on, let's go right in the middle at around that sort of 100,000 one, or, you know, the standard industry 2.5. Let's say this one here, kind of right in the middle of 86,000. Let's just go with that one there. So our value per lead on 86,400 divided by 1,000 leads is $86.40. Or if we get 800 leads, 86,400 divided by 800 is $108. So our cost per lead was $20 or $25. So you can see, would you spend $25 to make 108, would you spend, hang on, have I done that right? Yes, because there's less leads. Would you spend $20 to make $86.40? Of course you would. Of course you would. So can you see here, just with some industry standard numbers, and honestly, I've gone very conservative, we should hit these, right? We should at least hit 1.5. Even if we hit a 1.5 closure rate, we could still make $81 or $64 to $81,000 with a $20,000 ad spend. Sound good? Well, these are our goals. So really what we have is an easy goal, a good goal, and a stretch goal. And I've got somebody I want to hire if I hit the 6-figure mark. And if we hit that 6-figure, I've got a new team member already sitting in the wings waiting. So there we go. That is our sexy math. And let's clear that. That's our sexy math goals for this launch. It's a good goal. It's definitely not the type of ad spend I used to spend, but it's a good start. And, you know, previously I used to spend 2 or 3 times more to run ads, but I don't want to put that much in an untested hook. So we might only just go for the 10 if the hook isn't working, because to be honest, it's now Tuesday and the launch starts next Monday. If I'm launching a new campaign that I've never run before, I usually like to start 2 weeks out. And I have not been able to get everything finished along with fulfillment on the back end with the clients and the interruptions and the things that have to happen as a business owner. And also because it is the first time we're running this particular event in this system, I want to build it right from the start, because I don't want to have to go back and fix it, because I actually want to try and get 2 launches in potentially before the end of the year. I'm not guaranteeing it, but I might give it a crack. It's a lot of work to do a turnaround of 6 weeks between a challenge. Running a webinar or a really short mini training, not so hard. Challenges have a lot of moving parts. They don't need to, but because I've been running challenges since before they were even called challenges that I know of. Back even in network marketing, I ran a challenge to get team members. That's how I became the #1 team builder in all of APAC and #3 in the world, was because I ran challenges. We used to call them sneak peeks back then, but they were still challenges. And I realized that I love the launch style of a business. I love showing up a few times a year, running a live training to help people that can't all afford me, and then getting some people that can. You know, our 2%, our 1%, our 1.5% of people who can right now. But the other people that aren't yet ready might not be ready now. It might be 1 year, 2 years, a few months. I've had the longest 4 years somebody stalking before they say yes. So that's my story behind launching, why I haven't launched, getting a little vulnerable and kind of sharing some behind the scenes things of what's been happening in the business, and just a transition of really I need to remove business from personal. I remember hearing, it was probably about a year and a half ago, I was listening to a podcast by Amy Porterfield, and she said one big thing, and she's like 12, 15 years in, right? One thing she said is she had to stop calling her team family, because there's this blurry line. And me personally, I've been taken advantage of by my team because I see them as family, and then to make them feel better, I just give them more money. And even if I can't afford it, Even if I've had to borrow it from my husband to give them money, I do. And it's my personal boundaries that I have to protect better from being taken advantage of. It's not that you can't call them family. I need to remove that connection that they are family, because I have literally taken from my family to give to my team and past team members, and I never get paid back, even with the promise that they'll pay me back. And do I chase it? No. Why? Rose-colored glasses here, pay it forward, good karma, all those things that I live and breathe by. But it doesn't always help business. So I have to try personally to set those boundaries. It doesn't mean that, we don't love them and care about them, but I can't be, taking money from my partner's bank account to give a loan that never gets paid back to team members. Yes, I've done that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of me getting a little bit more vulnerable with you. I've spilt an entire cup of coffee all over my desk while sharing this with you. It is a complete schmozzle over here. So as I log off, anybody out there who is a VIP, feel free to head on in now to the VOZ, because I'll be here for Q&A, for Ask Me Anything sessions for the next hour or two. I'll be in here also working on building out my funnel. And if anybody in the community wants to watch me build, I was talking about this the other day. I'm happy to sit in a room and share screen while I'm building the launch things. Clients can come in, but do not interrupt me. Don't ask me questions, because it will slow me down. I'm happy for you to get a look behind the scenes and see how I build and all the things that I'm putting together right now, but please don't interrupt me. You can come in as a stalker, okay? You can be a butterfly on the wall. So I might hang out in the butterfly room. There you go. I'll hang out in the butterfly room. You can be a butterfly on the wall, but do not interrupt me. The only people who have permission to interrupt me is Beverly, she's my executive assistant, and Ash, because she's our customer success manager, but nobody else is allowed to if you want to stalk and watch me build the funnel. I was thinking, what's the name of that software? Twitch, I think it is, that people like stream their video games and things like that. Maybe I'll stream it on Twitch as well. Who knows? Just having a bit of a play, because I've always been a pretty open book with everything. And over the last year, really, I have been a very closed book while I'm trying to sort my shit out. And I want to move back to the way I have been, without fear, without judgment, because I'm just doing the best I can with what I've got. And I need to lean into that again. And it's been something that I've been really scared and hesitant of. I think it's just with everything people have been sharing with me have in a way shut down my personality, that I've been too scared, fear of judgment, fear of doing the wrong thing. And I never used to be like that. And I need to get back to that. I need to get back to just share it, say what you say. It is what it is. I'm not giving legal advice and accounting advice. I'm just sharing my story, my journey, my thought patterns, the way I see the world, that in a hope that I can inspire you. Because when you join us, we can build all the fancy stuff for you, but they will not come, right? You've got to be everyday be marketing, and we'll be back to it. Every day we will be marketing once I can get the rest of this funnel done. My goal is today, we're going to turn it on. Today, we're going to turn it on. Please, please, if I can get the time to do it. So thank you so much for joining us on this week's episode, or whether you've caught it on the podcast. Know that there's going to be a lot more vulnerable stories. I'm going to go back to the way I used to be. No fear of judgment, no fear of oversharing, because that's always who I've been. Why should I shut that down? Because everybody, well, not everybody, people have been telling me to. And no, I got to where I was and where I am and as well known as I am because I never used to be scared to share it all, right? The good and the bad and the ugly. So thank you all again for joining me. As always, never let anyone dull your sparkle. As soon as the funnel is launched, you will be able to join it. It will be at sparklewithsally.com. It doesn't go anywhere right now, but it will be sparklewithsally.com. You'll head to that to join the new challenge. If you're just joining us live, it's not ready, so don't opt in, okay? But I'm hoping by the end of the day it is. And if you're listening to the podcast, it definitely is. And I'm hoping there was a promo for it somewhere in this podcast episode as well. Now, I will be recording a few impromptu lives and podcast episodes throughout launch so that I can keep sharing the journey and the behind the scenes look of how things are going. So they will be streamed randomly over on our YouTube channel. So that would be the place to get it. But I'm just having a thought and I'm not near the computer, I may just record audio podcasts as well. So if you really want behind the scenes, then go to the podcast because that is where all of the audio files will go, even if I don't do a live stream, if I've got some additional thoughts or processes or struggles that I've been through and I feel like it's worth sharing with you. Never let anyone dull your sparkle. Make sure you get at least one income producing activity done each and every day, and every day be marketing. Bye, guys. I got to find the outro. I don't know where it is. Here it is. Bye.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long.